Hey guys, Mr. P. In this video, we're going to talk about the conditions that were present on Earth and how those conditions were fundamental in shaping the prebiotic formation of carbon compounds. Hey guys, Mr. P. In this video, we're going to talk about the conditions on early Earth and how those prebiotic conditions were fundamental in creating the first carbon compounds, and how the prebiotic formation of those carbon compounds led to the development of both prokaryote and eukaryotic cells that we see on Earth today. So the first thing we need to identify when looking at the prebiotic formation of these carbon compounds and how it led to life as we know it today, we need to look at a timeline. And so this looks like a pie chart. It's broken into different eras or different eons. And the first kind of point of reference for us to understand how the Earth shaped the formation of prokaryote and eukaryotic cells is we need to identify when the origin of water on Earth happened. It is believed that water originated on Earth roughly 4.4 billion years ago, and while we're talking about the age of the Earth, we are going to base that on the Earth being formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago. So if the Earth was formed 4.5 billion years ago and water originated at 4.4 billion years ago, there was roughly 100 million years of this prebiotic formation of Earth and the formation of water that preceded this talk. Now, the majority of the data that we have on the planet today suggests that Earth acquired water from extraplanetary objects, these extraplanetary objects being asteroids, comets, meteors, and things like that. Those brought the precursors of water in ice to the planet, and as these asteroids and comets collided with Earth, they deposited the molecular components that gave rise to water on the planet. And so we have this prebiotic Earth where there's no evidence of life. We have no fossil records of life happening within this era of Earth. And basically when we're talking about this prebiotic Earth, it was very different than what Earth is today. Earth today is very stable, but this prebiotic Earth had frequent volcanic eruptions, tons of meteorite and asteroid interactions and collisions, tons of lightning. The atmosphere was very energetic and very electrical. There was extremely high temperatures, very high UV radiation levels that were able to penetrate the Earth's surface. And we refer to this eon as the Hadean eon. And the Hadean era is referred to as the Hadean era, named after Hades, which is the hell of the ancient Greeks. This Hadean era had extremely high temperatures. It would have had extremely energetic lightning storms. It would have had tons of volcanic eruptions. It would have had a bunch of meteorite and asteroid interactions and collisions. And it would have given off a ton of hydrogen gas, and it would have given off a bunch of sulfates. And eventually, it would have produced a CO2 and water vapor rich atmosphere that would have trapped heat and would have retained heat, giving rise to good ambient air temperatures, as well as the formation of liquid water. Because not only would the Earth be within that Goldilocks zone, but the atmosphere would have trapped enough heat or retained enough heat in order to provide water in the three states. Looking at the prebiotic Earth, one of the really important experiments, which we'll talk about in a lot more detail, is the Miller-Urey experiment. And in this experiment, they were actually able to simulate prebiotic Earth conditions. They would have had atmospheric water vapor. So by boiling water, they would have provided atmospheric water vapor. By sparking electricity through two or between two electrodes, they were able to simulate lightning. They also put in a lot of this prebiotic Earth gas, which would be methane and ammonia and that water vapor and hydrogen gas, which would have been given off by a lot of those volcanic eruptions. And utilizing this prebiotic Earth, this closed system, they were actually able to produce in this collection trap amino acids and other organic compounds, which would have been made from this inorganic compounds, which are the precursors to not only polymers, but also the building blocks of life. And so the order of events, so to speak, would be the formation of simple organic molecules from inorganic compounds. There was, and we know there was, inorganic compounds on the planet. but there were no organic compounds. And so the first stage is we have to take these inorganic compounds and we have to form simple organic compounds. Once we have these simple organic compounds or simple organic molecules produced, then we need to assemble those into polymers. We call that polymerization. Okay, once we can polymerize or produce polymers from simple organic compounds, then we can begin to make a process called self-replicating polymers. Once the polymers are able to self-replicate, then they can produce themselves. They do not have to be made by the simple organic compounds. Things like DNA and proteins and RNA, those are self-replicating molecules, and eventually we form lipid bilayers around these self-replicating polymers, and we begin to form this compartmentalization, which produces both prokaryote and eukaryotic cells. Once we can contain and enclose this DNA or this RNA, this self-replicating polymers, inside of a membrane, then we start to produce a boundary between the outside of a cell and the inside of a cell, and we can wall off and do things metabolically inside of that membrane that is separate from the environment on the outside. And so there is chemical evidence of life as far back as 3.8 billion years ago. So the formation of water leads to the chemical evidence of life. This trace evidence of life existed on Earth 3.8 billion years ago and was prokaryotic at this point. Fossil evidence of life, this is where we start actually seeing evidence of life in our fossil record. And all of these first cells were prokaryotes. We have not evolved the eukaryotic cell at this point. Moving around the timeline, we have the first identified process of photosynthesis, roughly 3.2 billion years ago. All of that photosynthesis occurred in the oceans. And the first organisms to perform photosynthesis are believed to be bacteria living in aquatic environments. And we can actually look at oxygen data. And so there is a period called the Great Oxygenation Event. And if you look at this graph, there is very, very low levels of oxygen on the planet until one event produces a ton of oxygen. And I say a ton because there is a substantial amount produced, and we maintain high levels of oxygen compared to where we were. This is the Great Oxygenation Event, and it's believed to have risen the atmospheric concentration of oxygen from 0% to around 20%. Now, until present day, we have maintained that 20%, and we've actually blipped it up a little bit more. But once this oxygenation event occurred, we have been able to maintain oxygen because photosynthesis has been occurring from this point on through history to current day. Once the Great Oxygenation Event occurred, that gave rise to photosynthesis as a way of producing ATP by utilizing the CO2 that's in the atmosphere. Oxygen, obviously produced as a byproduct, gave rise to the origin of eukaryotic cells as far back as 2.4 billion years ago. So 2.4 to 2 billion years ago is the origin of eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells existed for roughly 1 billion years, and we originated the chloroplast, which is the organelle responsible for producing photosynthesis, and that is 1.6 billion years ago. Once the chloroplast was evolved, then the plant cells can originate. And once the plant cells can originate, then animal cells can originate. Remember, plant cells make up plant tissue, and plants are the base of every food chain. And so once the plants are established on the planet, the first animals can establish with a food source. They were established roughly 635 million years ago. The first land plants existed roughly 425 million years ago. Early mammals originated 280 million years ago. Dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago, and then humans evolved 0.2 million years ago, which looks like we're back at our starting spot, but that's just how much time has existed from the origin of Earth to current day. And humans have only been on the planet for the last several 100,000 years. And that's it for this video. As a recap, we talked about some major events like the Great Oxygenation Event, as well as the evolution of prokaryotes, eukaryotes, the chloroplasts, all of the animals, land plants, and humans. It is important for you to understand that not all of these events happened at once, and in fact tons of time happened between these events that got the Earth from its origin to current Earth over the last 4.5 billion years. If you learned something, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.